Hi everyone, Amanda here. Welcome back to my book nook. So today we're going to be discussing Circe by Madeline Miller. Now if you know much about Greek mythology, you've probably heard the name Circe, particularly in reference to Odysseus, because Circe's island is one of the ones that Odysseus ends up on his travels back from Troy to Ithaca. That is covered somewhat in this book, but this story is focused on all of Circe's life. From the birth of Circe, from Helios and Perseus a nymph, to her relationships with her family, including her other Titan-based siblings, because Helios was a Titan, so they are all part Titan, and how she was kind of more looked down on from them because she was more mortal looking and had more of a mortal voice than any of the others, to how she responds when Prometheus steals fire and is punished, to then being banished and placed on her island. It also goes through other aspects in which she interacted with people outside of even Odysseus. Her connection to the Aldous and Icarus, both in the viewing of the creation of the labyrinth for the Minotaur, and then ultimately hearing from Hermes what happened to poor Icarus. To then meeting Medea when she and Jason end up on her island, and her advice towards Medea of, hey, you don't really want to trust this person. To then ultimately in regards her whole interaction with Odysseus. It also follows after that in regards with her child with Odysseus and his going away to find his father, and how ultimately leading to Odysseus' death, of Penelope and Telemachus coming back with Telegonus, who was Odysseus and Circe's child, when he leaves from Ithaca, and the end of everything. It lies on a somewhat ambiguous ending as to what ultimately happens to Circe. She's trying to figure out where she ultimately belongs. Does she belong still in regards with the gods and cutting away from mortals, or does she belong being able to be more like the mortals, that she ultimately ends up having relationships and falling in love with many of them? That's a very broad overview of the story because there's so much detail, there's so much information about her life with things, how she meets up with Scylla, who's one of her cousins, and yes, the same Scylla that you see in the myths of Odysseus with the 6 heads that eat the sailors. Other interactions with people who come to her island and her using of her magic, her interactions with Hermes, with her brothers and sisters who come to visit her or manage to get pardons for her to occasionally break her exile to assist with other things. And I know that my description of the plot line and the story synopsis does not do it justice, because this is a 9 out of 10 book, I would say. It's very, very well written. Madeline Miller has a very lyrical feel to her writing, which, especially when dealing with the Greek mythology, feels amazing, because it still has that, even though it's not written as poetry, it still has a kind of poetic type feel to it, because it's very visual, very painting the image and everything. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one. I think it was very, very well done, and considering that Circe is a character who is so minor in the majority of the Greek mythos, but is so integral in so many little storylines, even though she's barely in those different storylines. It was really, really interesting to see a story that was based on her point of view and her perception of the things going on around her and her thought processes on regards to everything. And I thought that was a really interesting concept to be able to pull in. So yeah, definitely recommend it. 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and ring the bell so you don't miss when I post up new ones. And I will see you next time. Bye.